Then Sakka, having expressed his appreciation, asked another question. Well, sir, what practice has that monk undertaken who has acquired the restraint required by the Patimokkha or the monk's rules? And the Buddha said, Devaraja, I declare that there are two kinds of bodily conduct, the kind to be pursued and the kind to be avoided. The same applies to conduct of speech and to the pursuit of goals. Why have I declared this in regard to bodily conduct? This is how I understood bodily conduct. When observed that by the performance of certain actions, unwholesome factors increase and wholesome factors decrease, then that form of bodily action was to be avoided. And when I observed that by the performance of such actions, unwholesome factors decrease and wholesome ones increase, then such bodily action was to be followed. That is why I make this distinction. The same applies to conduct of speech and the pursuit of goals. And this, Devaraja, is the practice that monk has undertaken, who has acquired the restraint required by the rules. And Sakka expressed his delight at the Lord's answer. So here this is a criterion the Buddha gives on bodily conduct or verbal conduct and the pursuit of goals, whether you want something, whether it's good or not for you, it depends on this law. If unwholesome states increase and wholesome states decrease, then it is no good, it's to be avoided. But if wholesome states increase and unwholesome states decrease, then it is desirable. You should perform that action or achieve what that goal that you want. So you see, in the case of jhana, some people they make the mistake. They say that it is wrong to indulge in jhana. Jhana is a kind of happiness, a kind of pleasure. It's wrong to indulge in. But the Buddha, he says very clearly in the suttas that there are two types of happiness. The happiness that comes from enjoying sensual pleasures and the happiness of jhanic bliss. And the happiness of sensual pleasures, the Buddha says, he discourages his disciples to enjoy. Why? Because it increases unwholesome states and decreases wholesome states. And also it ends in sorrow. Worldly happiness, when we enjoy, in the end, we will suffer. We become addicted to it. And because everything is impermanent in the world, it will go away. When it goes away, then we can't stand it, because our mind is not cultivated, it's not strong. But jhanic bliss, the Buddha says, he encourages his disciples to enjoy because he gives 4 benefits. What are the 4 benefits? The 4 fruits of the 4 Aryan stages. First fruit, which is Sakkapanha. Second fruit, which is Sakadagamin. Third fruit, which is Anagamin. And fourth fruit, which is Arahant. So this is a very good criterion. If we want to do something or not to do something, we see whether wholesome states increase or decrease, and wholesome states decrease or increase. Then Sakka asked another question. Well, sir, what practice has that monk undertaken who has acquired control of his sense faculties? And the Buddha said, Devaraja, I declare that things perceived by the eye are of 2 kinds, the kind to be pursued and the kind to be avoided. The same applies to things perceived by the ear, the nose, tongue, body and mind. At this, Sakka said, Lord, I understand in full the true meaning of what the Blessed Lord has outlined in brief. Lord, whatever object perceived by the eye, if its pursuit leads to the increase of unwholesome factors and the decrease of wholesome ones, that is not to be sought after. If its pursuit leads to the decrease of wholesome states and the increase of wholesome ones, such an object is to be sought after. And the same applies to things perceived by the ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. Thus I understand in full the true meaning of what the Blessed Lord has outlined in brief, and thus through the Lord's answer I have overcome my doubt and got rid of uncertainty. Now stop here for a moment. So here is the same as the previous one. You use the same criterion. If you see something and unwholesome states increase and wholesome states decrease, then you should not see it, like seeing shows and listening to music and all these things. So, but if unwholesome states decrease and wholesome states increase, then you can see or hear, etc. Then Sakka asks another question, Sir, but then of course you must understand the criterion for monks and for lay people is quite different, because lay people, you're not willing to walk the path to liberation, so lay people expect to enjoy life a bit, so they indulge in these things. Only thing is, if you know, then at least you know the Dhamma, then at least you put on your brakes, you don't go overboard. Then Sakka asks another question, Sir, do all ascetics and Brahmins teach the same Dhamma, practice the same Vinaya, want the same thing, and pursue the same goal? And the Buddha said, No, Devaraja, they do not. But why, sir, do they not do so? The Buddha said, The world, Devaraja, is made up of many and various elements. Such being the case, beings adhere to one or other of these various things, and whatever they adhere to, they become powerfully addicted to and declare, This alone is the truth, everything else is false. Therefore, they do not all teach the same Dhamma, practice the same Vinaya, want the same thing, pursue the same goal. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying beings are all different, and such being the case, they adhere or they follow different opinions, and whatever they want, they addicted to, they say this is the best, this alone is the truth. And then again Sakka Devaraja asks, Sir, are all ascetics and Brahmins fully proficient, free from bonds, perfect in the holy life? Have they perfectly reached the goal? And the Buddha said, No, Devaraja. Why is that, sir? And the Buddha said, Only those, Devaraja, who are liberated by the destruction of craving are fully proficient, freed from the bonds, perfect in the holy life, and have perfectly reached the goal. And Sakka rejoiced at the answer as before. Then Sakka said, Passion, sir, is a disease, a boil, a dart. It seduces a man, drawing him into this or that state of becoming, so that he is reborn in high states or low. Stop here for a moment. So you see here, the Buddha says, a person can only be liberated or enlightened by destroying craving. So this craving, as Sakka says, is a disease, a dart, a boil. It seduces a man, seduces a woman also. So is craving, passion, is something that makes us enjoy life. So it's something that's very, very difficult to give up. That's why very few people want to walk the spiritual path, because it means giving up all that you enjoy. But they don't understand that when you give up all that you enjoy, you attain a different kind of happiness, a higher kind of happiness, that even the low gods, the low devas, those in the sensual realm, sensual desire realm, they have no chance to enjoy. They don't understand. Only those in the Brahma realm upwards, who have attained jhana, then only they know of a higher bliss. When you can attain that kind of higher bliss, the bliss of jhana, then you can be reborn in a very high state, in the form realm or formless realm. At that time, the happiness surpasses the happiness of sensual pleasures. And Sakka Devaraja continued, whereas other ascetics and Brahmins of differing viewpoints gave me no chance to ask these questions, the Lord has instructed me at length, and thus removed the dart of doubt and uncertainty from me. And the Buddha said, Devaraja, do you admit to having asked the same question of other ascetics and Brahmins? And he said, yes, Lord. And the Buddha said, then if you don't mind, please tell me what they said. And he said, I do not mind telling the Blessed Lord or one like him. Then tell me, Devaraja. And he said, Lord, I went to those I considered to be ascetics and Brahmins because of their solitary life in the woods, and I put these questions to them. But instead of giving me a proper answer, they asked me in return, who are you, Venerable Sir? I replied that I was Sakkapanha, and they asked me what had brought me there. Then I taught them the Dhamma as far as I had heard it and practiced it. But they were very pleased with even that much, and they said, we have seen Sakkapanha, and he has answered the questions we put to him. And they became my pupils instead of my becoming theirs. But I, Lord, am a disciple of the Blessed Lord. A stream winner am I, not subject to rebirth in states of woe, firmly established and destined for enlightenment. And the Buddha said, Devaraja, do you admit to having ever previously experienced rejoicing and happiness such as you now experience? And he said, yes, Lord. And what was that about? In the past, Lord, war had broken out between the gods, the Devas, and the Asuras. And the gods had defeated the Asuras. And after the battle, as victor, I thought, whatever is now the food of the gods, and what is the food of the Asuras, henceforth we shall enjoy both. But Lord, such happiness and satisfaction which was due to blows and wounds does not conduce to dispassion, detachment, cessation, peace, higher knowledge, enlightenment, nibbana. But that happiness and satisfaction that is obtained by hearing the Dhamma from the Blessed Lord, which is not due to blows and wounds, does conduce to dispassion, detachment, cessation, peace, higher knowledge, enlightenment, nibbana. Stop here for a moment. So here, you see this Sakkapanha, he went to these ascetics, living alone in the forest, and tried to ask them some Dhamma. And these people, they, like some people, they only want to meditate, they don't want to learn the Dhamma. So they could not teach the Dhamma to Sakkapanha. And then when Sakkapanha taught them the Dhamma, they became a disciple of Sakkapanha. But Sakkapanha thought he wanted to become their disciple. Instead, they become his disciple. The other thing you notice, that these Devas and Asuras, when they fight, and there are blows and wounds. So it's not that they are just chasing each other and making a show. They actually really fight. That's why when they fight, before the fight, they can be very scared. So the Devas, Taiko, they would carry up their banner, and those others see their banner, they get some courage. The Taiko is with us. The warlord. But the Buddha says, instead of seeing the warlord's banner, you think of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, that is more reliable. And then the Buddha said, and Devaraja, what things do you call to mind when you admit to experiencing such satisfaction and happiness as this? And he said, Lord, at such time, 6 things come to mind at which I rejoice. I, who merely as a God exists, have gained the chance by karma of another earthly life. That, Lord, is the first thing that occurs to me. Leaving this non-human realm of gods behind, unerringly I'll seek the womb I wish to find. That, Lord, is the second thing. My problem solved, I'll gladly live by Buddha's Dhamma, controlled and mindful, with clear awareness filled. Lord, this is the third thing. And should enlightenment arise in me, as one who knows I'll dwell, and there await my end. That, Lord, is the fourth thing. Then when I leave the human world again, I'll be once more a God and one of highest rank. That, Lord, is the fifth thing. More glorious than Devas are the peerless gods, Akanita, among whom dwelling I shall make my final home. That, Lord, is the sixth thing that occurs to me, and these are the 6 things at which I rejoice. Long I wandered, unfulfilled, in doubt, in quest of the Tathagata. I thought Hermits who live secluded and austere must surely be enlightened. I'll seek them. What must I do to gain success, and what cause but leads to failure? But thus asked, they could not tell me how to tread the path. Instead, when they found that I am Devaraja, or king of the gods, they asked me why I'd come to them. And I it was who taught them what I knew of Dhamma. And at that rejoicing they cried, "It's Vasava, the Lord we have seen." But now I've seen the Buddha, and my doubts are all dispelled. My fears are allayed. And now to the Enlightened One I pay homage due, to him who's drawn the dart of craving, to the Buddha, peerless Lord, mighty hero, kinsman of the sun. Just as Brahma's worshipped by the gods, so likewise today we worship you, Enlightened One, and Teacher unsurpassed, whom none can equal in the human world or in the heavens, dwelling of the gods. Then Sakka said to Panchasika of the Gandhabas, I'll stop here for a moment. So here you see, Sakka because of his psychic power, his great psychic power, he realized six things. One was that he'll be reborn as a human being again. And then, secondly, when he's going to be reborn as a human being, he'll seek the womb that he wants to be reborn in. This shows that some of these gods, they have the power to seek the family they want to be reborn into. Then thirdly, then he live by the Dhamma, control and mindful. And then fourthly, should enlightenment arise in me, I think he will become an anagamin, because the fifth thing, he says, when I leave the human world again, he'll be a god, one of the highest rank. And then the sixth, then he will be reborn in the Akanita heaven. This Akanita is one of the 5 levels of heaven in the Suddhavasa. Suddhavasa, or pure abodes, is the heaven where only anagamins, third fruition, Aryas are reborn. So he could foresee that one day he'll become an anagamin and be reborn in the Suddhavasa heavens. Then Sakka said to Panchasika of the Gandhabas, "My dear Panchasika, you have been of great help to me for gaining the ear of the Blessed Lord. For it was through your gaining his ear that we were admitted to the presence of the Blessed Lord, Arahant Samasambuddha. I will be a father to you, and you shall be king of the Gandhabas, and I will give you Bada Surya Vachasa, whom you desired." And then Sakka touched the earth with his hand and called out 3 times, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa, called 3 times. Homage to the Blessed One, Arahant Sama Sambuddha. And while he had been speaking in this dialogue, the pure and spotless Dhamma eye or Dhamma vision arose within Sakka, and he knew whatever things have an origin must come to cessation. And the same thing happened to 80,000 devas as well. Such were the questions which Sakka was desirous to ask, and which the Lord answered for him. Therefore, this discourse is called Sakka's questions. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, because this Panchasika did his job very well and introduced Sakka to the Buddha, so he said he'll make this Panchasika the king of the Gandhabas. Previously, the father of this Bada, whom our Panchasika desired, the father was the king. But now, Sakka being so powerful, he made this Panchasika the king of the Gandhabas, so that he could have any maiden he wished among the Gandhabas. So you see, like in many suttas, you find from listening to the Dhamma, the spotless Dhamma vision arose within Sakka. Devaraja. That means he attained stream entry, attained the first path, which must become fruit within the same lifetime. And not only him, 80,000 devas also attained the Dhamma vision, became attained stream entry. So it's always by listening to the Dhamma and getting right view that we attain stream entry, no other way. So we stop here for tonight. It's quite an interesting sutta. Anything to discuss? From this sutta you find life in the heaven of the 33 is a bit like the human realm. You have dancing in the hall, you have falling in love, and sometimes cannot get your choice. Then you have heartache.
In the previous Sutta, there's one sentence here regarding the Mara coming to his assembly. Buddha will call the other monks of Sakkapanha to take forth and realize. But since they say that even though they have achieved Arahant before the monks away, they can still have this last
No, definitely not. If Arahant, even all these Aryan stages, they are not reversible. Because to his monks he said, the host of Mara come, monks, pay good heed. So it is not only the Arahants, he is talking about all the monks. Say again? A person can attain arahanthood as a layman, but once he becomes an arahant, he will never go back to home. He has lost the old self, has died.
What Gopaka has related in page 325, where Gopaka reviewed two devas were born to their minds, completed by two devas who were born much lower than him, much lower than him, they were Gopaka. So after this, two of the three nuns, they take it of the youth and they try hard. So, and they enter to the Brahma's residence. So you can see from here, that means they don't have to read through the Deva's lifetime. And they, after learning the Dhamma, they can go straight to the Brahma.
Not for sure, because it doesn't say here how long they took to be reborn in the Brahma's realm. It is not stated immediately.
Yeah, but if these monks were born as they were with a very long lifespan and Buddha, they are Buddha's disciples, it means to say that it is during the Buddha's lifetime.
Mm-hmm. True also. I don't know how to explain this. Maybe when they attain the jhanas, then with their psychic power, they attain the state of Brahma.
The other thing is that Sakka is about Sakka's property, own property, that he says that he will be born one more time as a human. So when he believes that because of the indulgence in sensual pleasure in the Deva, he needs to be born as a human one more time to attain the jhana, so that he will be born as a human line. We need to try very hard to be
Yes, because generally in the Deva realm, the conditions are not conducive to striving. Like him, he's so busy. Even he wanted to see the Buddha so many times or so, he could not find the time to see the Buddha. So how to practice? He's got thousands of wives following him everywhere.
The Sakkapanha can choose where they want. And I'm wondering if ordinary people also has this ability in Zhongnam San, doing his Zhongnam San.
I don't think so, because in the intermediate, what you're talking about is the intermediate state, where that being is conditioned by karma. So he can only, whatever human he can find, he will go into the womb. He cannot think, oh, I'm now in Malaysia, I want to go to Hong Kong to be reborn.
Sometimes our Buddhists will make a wish that in the next life, even though this life I cannot attain any good, then maybe the next time, in the next life, we can meet the Buddha, Dhamma, or something. So it is not that possible.
I don't think so, because the Buddha says for a person to be reborn together, 4 things must be equal. The faith, and then the sila, morality, then the generosity, then the wisdom. So, for example, if a person thinks he wants to be reborn as a Buddhist, but if all these 4 conditions are not there, then he might not be able to. But if he understands the Dhamma, attains the Dhamma vision, and he becomes an Arya, then even wherever he's reborn, he will automatically look for the Dhamma. Or if there's no Dhamma, he will by himself practice.
I have one more question. Concerning what is wholesome and unwholesome, can we understand that whenever need to increase in 5 influence, that is wholesome? And what leads to the increase in 5 influence, and that is unwholesome? Can we understand that?
Yes, but I'm not sure if that is complete. Because wholesome states are states that lead to peace and happiness. And unwholesome states are states that lead to unhappiness, restlessness, and all that. So, they are a bit linked to the 5 hindrances, because the 5 hindrances are the source of our unhappiness and frustration also. Okay, shall we stop here?